Okay, let me talk about how to go from picking up the brass and getting ready to polish it all the way through to loading or seating the final bullet. Now here is a piece of brass that I picked up yesterday after shooting, and you notice it's got some tarnish on it, and I'm going to talk about a little bit about how we begin to tumble it and clean it and polish it. Of course, you could take some brass polish and a rag and clean each one of these by hand, but it's a little bit laborsome. So let's talk about a much easier way to do it. Okay, I have some cleaning supplies. This is corn cob, chopped up corn cob, and it's treated. If you notice, it has sort of a greenish color. And this is a coarser grind. And then I have some untreated corn cob, and this is a fine grind, and it has sort of the brown color as you would expect a corn cob to have. So what I have done is I have a Lyman tumbler, Turbo 1200 tumbler. The top has a rounded shape so that when it vibrates, and this will vibrate something like so, and I'll turn it on in a minute and let you see that. But what happens is the corn cob tumbles in there along with the shells. So I'm going to turn that on. By the way, whenever I start this, I just leave the corn cobs in there from time to time, and you really don't have to change these very often. When it gets really dark and black, I guess you'd want to change it. It's a sort of a greenish black, and right now I've tumbled a bunch in here, and it's still in pretty good condition. I don't know if you can tell about the color or not, but it's not too bad. So I'm going to turn it on, and find the switch, and as you notice, it tumbles, rolling the corn cobs from inside to outside, going down. Sometimes when I start this, I will put just some ordinary brass cleaner in it, which I picked up at the grocery store. I'll put just a few, maybe a little line around the outside of the tumbler, and just let it go. You may see some lumps initially, but it'll generally smooth out as you see it has right now. So I'm going to drop those in there, and they will just tumble and tumble and tumble, and we'll leave this alone for probably a couple of hours, and then we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more about where we go from there. If you noticed, I put the whole brass shell in there with the primer still intact, the fired primer. If you don't, that little hole will get plugged up with bits of corn cob, and you'd have to poke it out before you put the new primer in. So I just leave the old primer in and polish the entire thing as you see that it's going right now. Okay, this has been running a couple of hours, and I'm going to reach in here and see if I can find some to see what they look like, and see if they are shiny enough to please me. And it looks like this is pretty nice, pretty shiny. I'll get another one or two. Just run your hand around in there until you find them, and it looks like it's fairly clean. So a couple hours, most often will do it if they're not really bad. So now the next step is that got this plastic container here, and I've just cut random holes in it. It's just a Cool Whip container. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sift these using this hole, and I'll put them inside this container, and then I'll put it up against this vibrating post, and it will just sort of shake all the corn cob bits out. I'm going to have to use 2 hands to do this, so let me turn the video off, and we'll go on in a minute when I get the pieces in there. Okay, I have put some of the pieces in there with the bits of corn cob, and if you'll watch, I'll just put it up against the post, and it'll just vibrate that right out. The shells have the corn cob inside them sometimes, so you want to toss them around and make sure they get turned over, so the corn cob will get shaken out of the container. Now that's pretty much it. Now these bits and pieces of shell is ready for depriming. Notice this still has the primer in it, and I'll take it down and I'll do the depriming, the sizing, flaring, and then it'll be ready for powder and lead. So I'm checking now to see if there's any that have a little bit more work to be done on it. This one is a little too spotted maybe, so I'll maybe put it against the buffer wheel and see if that'll help. Okay, next up, this is the end of the polishing. The next step will be the depriming.